Hey people, so I just wanted to share y'all a perspective about my life. And here it goes. I am single, no kids, never been married, and so much more. So now what? This is at the time of this video that I am sharing my thoughts, and opinions on how I feel about my life and certain things, okay? So I'm just asking y'all, hear me out. The reason why I brought this up was because I just feel like at this point and at this time of my age, I've been through quite a bit, and there's probably more times and more things to come, good, bad, and indifferent, right? Now, as far as my age, obviously, I have gone through, physical and personal changes. So with physical, I'll give you example. Like, as you could see, when I was in my 20s, all of my hair was basically black. And actually, when I was in my, I want to say like 40s is when I started to have gray hairs and things like that. So now in my 50s, obviously my grays have kind of just stuck out. So let me show you. And even my grays, have grown out into my beard and my mustache. When it fully grows out, you can see it, but that's okay. So some of y'all are probably wondering, why haven't you had kids and why haven't you been married? The answer is simply this, that life, for whatever the reason, simply did not bring me to that point. And that's just the simple answer, okay? So, I can still have kids, I can still get married. However, as far as me having kids, I'm not so sure at this point, but I'm not going to say never. Now, the same would go with me getting married. I can go either way with it at this point in my life, where I can be in a relationship and I can stay being in a relationship, or I can get married and, feel the same way as if I was in a relationship, where I'm happy, I'm content, and as long as everything is going in a direction that is going to make me feel like the consistency and the persistence is worth the effort, then it will still keep going and the journey will still continue as far as that path is concerned. Do I have a job at this point? No. However, I do have ways that I do make money, which I will talk about in a separate video, okay? But the bottom line right now is that right now at this point in my life, I'm going through a bit of what you would call, I'm starting over, because of, I had a couple of changes and a couple of things that has happened to me. And so it has brought me to this point where I have to basically start over, and I have to do things differently than I would before. So I'll give you an example, like, at this point and at my age, as far as me finding a job, there's certain jobs that I would be considered, let's just say, overqualified for. So now, because of that, I have to think outside of the box in terms of what jobs could I probably apply for that I probably could get, or if I know someone, then I could probably get the job and start working. Now, like I said, there are other sources of income. Like, for example, I am a YouTuber. Now, I don't make a whole lot of money per se, but at the same time, once this video, and I say this in good faith, gets a lot of views and gets all the subscribers, then I will show you the revenue from this particular video that I have made, okay, that will be able to show that I made something to be able to say I have something to show for it. But anyways, but that's just one stream of income. Another stream of income is that for those of you who don't know me or who haven't watched the first video, so speaking of the first video, I will put the link in the description so that you guys can go see the first video where I talk about why I started this YouTube channel. So the bottom line is this, is that I am a professional musician. I've been doing this for, shall we say, 30 something years, still at it, still going. That's another way that I make money. There are other sources of, income that I also do and things like that. But like I said, I will talk about that in a separate video, okay? So that video will be dedicated to how I make money. As far as me being single, okay, in life, what you will learn when you get to this point and at this age, and if you are still finding yourself single, is that you realize that in life, there is no guarantees with anything. And I say this to say that everybody, including me, including you, and everybody, we are all subject to change, right? Sometimes you have some relationships where they get into and it lasts for a season, it lasts for quite some time, and then it's done. And then there's some relationships they're just meant to stay together because that's just how the story is unfolding, because they decide to simply work at it and stay committed to the process. Now, even though people can change, but the bottom line is, if you are committed to each other to be able to say, we're gonna go through the good, the bad, the indifferent, and still stay committed in the process, then you can look forward to years and decades of being together until death do you possibly part. I have met women in my lifetime that I wanted to get married to. And yes, I fell in love. But at the same time, the fact is, these women are no longer in my life. Whether I broke it up or they broke it up, the bottom line is, it simply was not meant to be. And whatever role or whatever lesson or whatever season it is that I played in their lives or they played in my life, the time was spent so that whatever that was supposed to happen at that time, that's how the story was supposed to be written, and that's how the journey was supposed to be happening at that time when it happened. Here's another perspective that I would like to share with you at this point in my life. I've come to a point at my age where I've realized, you know what? Sometimes it's just better to simply just have a peace of mind or fight for a peace of mind than actually go through the fight. So what does that simply mean? What that simply means is, if you're going through something, okay, and even if it may be frustrating, it might make you feel mad, it might make you feel upset, rather than holding on to the very thing that's making you feel that way, for as long as you're holding on, sometimes it's better to just simply let it go and say, you know what? I'd rather just have a peace of mind than to hold on to the negative energy that's just consuming me, not just physically, but mentally. And especially when mentally it's taking a toll on you where you can't function in a way where you could feel like you can get on with life in a way where you feel like everything is okay, even if there's trouble, but at least you could say, okay, whatever is going to happen, it's going to work itself out some way, somehow. So as far as me having kids, okay, like I said, I don't have any kids. And that's just the way life has unfolded for me. However, I do have nieces, I have nephews that I love with all my heart. I do have kids who consider me like a father figure, that I'm not their biological dad, but they consider me to be their dad, and I take that with much honor and much love, and I embrace it, and I never deny them their feelings. But also, there are kids who look at me as their uncle. There are younger people who look at me as big brother, or whatever. Or some people who I'm not related to, they look at me as unks, you know what I mean? And I embrace it all, because to me, I'd rather take that than to take something where they're looking at me in a negative light. So another part of me that also has gone through changes, okay, is my eyesight. So basically at this point, I have to wear reading glasses, okay? And so I discovered this basically in my early 40s, where I realized that it was becoming more and more difficult for me to see up close and to be able to read things, on a finer detail, or to be able to read like the paper or anything like that. And when it got to the point where, I had to hold things from afar to even try to make out what's happening or what I'm trying to read, that's when I realized I had to stop and get reading glasses, okay? So yes, I do wear reading glasses, and I've been wearing reading glasses since my, I would say, early 40s. So that's another change as far as my physical. But apart from that, as far as physically, as far as I'm concerned, strong as an ox, okay? So don't get it twisted. So as far as my love life is concerned, I will always stay open to the possibility that I will meet that woman who is meant to be in my life for the long haul and not for the short haul. So in the meantime, while I'm single, I'm just going to make the best of it. I'm just going to enjoy while I have my singleness. And here's another thing I wanted to offer as far as being single at this age. So what I've noticed is that women tend to look at me a lot different than when I was in my 20s. So what do I mean by this? What I simply mean is women tend to generally look at me, it's almost like saying, it's like fine wine that has been sitting there for quite some time, and as it ages, it gets better, right? But of course, women tend to look at me in a way where they don't just think, they can talk to me any kind of way or get over me in any kind of way, which, I kind of like that, But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I haven't met women who try their best to try to get one over me. But yeah, I see through it really fast, okay? And that's another thing I will say, being in my 50s, is that because of my life experience of being with so many women, so many types of women, I tend to see life and experiences in a way where I've been there, done that. So I know what to look for, and I see certain red flags before it happens, or I see certain things and I just take it as, okay, well, that's just the way you are. Whereas before, of course, I would get an attitude, I would probably, get in my feelings. But now it's like, okay, well, if this is who you are, then I have to make the choice. So here's the difference I will show you in terms of where I was basically in my 20s versus me being in my 50s. For example, like during my 20s and even mid 30s, like I couldn't wait for the weekend to go out and, you know, go to the party and go meet up with friends and do that whole thing, you know what I mean? And it was great. It was great, you know. That was my thing back then, right? But now in my 50s, I like to do it, but I just don't do it as often because it's not that big of a deal. You know, I'd rather focus on, you know, things that I actually like or things that I'm passionate about. Or sometimes I just want to sit at home, just watch a good movie, make music, or focus on things that to me are more important, or just spend time with people who, you know, I just like to be in company with and things like that, okay? What I'm trying to say to you here is it's not a matter of which one is better. No, it's just showing you that my life has evolved from when I was in my 20s, 50s, and how I look at life and how I do things. So all I can say at this point in my life is for as long as I'm going to be around and I will be aging, I'm just going to simply keep evolving and keep growing in ways where it's either going to be improved or I'm simply just going to pivot into something different. So to answer the question, so now what? Here's what. My name is Mikey and I'm a YouTuber.